What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including, firstly, heartbreaking news regarding Kevin Nash. AEW is done with CM Punk. Is the King of the Ring returning as a premium live event? Is this going to be Bray Wyatt's faction? Goldberg's contract expiring soon? WWE revamping veteran superstars and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. But now to the intro and get straight into our first story. Our first story looks at, sadly, heartbreaking news regarding Kevin Nash. Our top of today's news is sadly the death of Kevin Nash's 26-year-old son Tristan. Kevin's son worked alongside him on his new podcast, and by all reports, the two were very close with one another. Coincidentally, Tristan Nash died the same day as Scott Hall's birthday, 20th October. No other details are known, and we probably won't report on it anyway, but we send our heartfelt condolences to the Nash family and their friends. Next up, AEW is done with CM Punk. There appears to be more progress on the contentious situation involving AEW and CM Punk following Punk's comments at All Out's post-show media scrum and the alleged backstage brawl that broke out involving Punk, Ace Steel, and members of the Elite. While Punk, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks were mentioned recently on Dynamite, there's been no word on when their suspensions would be lifted. Add in Punk's current injury, which is believed to have him unable to compete for the next few months, and it's unknown if AEW would even use him if the suspension was lifted. However, Dave Meltzer is reporting AEW is in talks with Punk about the future, but right now it looks doubtful he'll be back. Those with close knowledge of the situation said they're in talks with Punk about a buyout of the remaining years of his contract, which tells you that they're not looking to bring him back. According to Meltzer, the holdup right now is said to be the non-compete period. Obviously, if the non-compete is an issue, it's about the interest in going to WWE because there's no need for a non-compete otherwise, because nobody else but AEW and WWE can pay him close to what he was making. There are those in WWE who have been very negative towards him in the past, but it is a wrestling war, and the optics of looking publicly that they've taken Punk from AEW would be very significant. While the idea of CM Punk working in the WWE may seem like a sign of the approach of Armageddon, the idea to stick it to AEW and make megabucks in doing so could appeal to Punk. As Meltzer suggested, Triple H might bring Punk back just to score a coup over AEW, much as the WWE did when they signed Cody Rhodes. The biggest downside is whether the WWE could deal with CM Punk and his willingness to say whatever's on his mind. Would the WWE locker room want the potential hassles Punk might bring in? For that matter, would Punk be willing to return to a place where he claims he had so many bad experiences? Of course, Punk could use the WWE as a bargaining chip with AEW, regardless of his willingness to return to Titanland. Next up, King of the Ring returning as a premium live event. WWE's recent decision to cancel Day 1 and the rumors that it may eliminate its stipulation shows such as Extreme Rules and Hell in a Cell creates vacancies for its PLEs, and now there's talk that a show featuring both the King of the Ring and Queen's Crown might replace one of the shows. Dave Meltzer is reporting there is talk of bringing back the King of the Ring tournament with a show that would be both King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. King of the Ring was dropped as a pay-per-view by Vince McMahon due to drawing weak numbers back in 2002. The report from this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter explained why the WWE would bring back the event despite it not always drawing. Today we no need to have pay-per-views draw as separate buys. Things like not putting on shows that didn't draw or having to do shows in prime time since most of the money comes from the US, but now that money is guaranteed by Peacock, it changes the dynamic of having the consistent 8 PM Eastern start time. The WWE should give more thought to its long-term plans for the winners of the tournaments if the WWE does decide to make its Regal tournaments into a PLE. The WWE has an inconsistent record with how it handles the booking of its winners. For example, the WWE largely abandoned Xavier Woods' 2021 win, while the Zelina Vega's Queen's Crown win was an integral part of her persona. But will WWE have to add PLEs? Well, if they do drop any other PLEs, will it need to replace them? Also pointed out, what's notable is the deal with Peacock calls for 12 pay-per-view shows per year, meaning that if they cancel the Day 1 show, they have to add another show later in the year and will be going 9 weeks between pay-per-view shows. As we've noted before, the WWE is more focused than ever on ensuring its PLEs are successful, including what seems to be a goal of transitioning more of them into stadium shows. Their strategy for PLEs in 2023 should generate plenty of interest for fans and shareholders. Next up, Bray Wyatt faction to feature 2 former Ring of Honor stars. Is Bray Wyatt forming his own faction, and will it comprise 2 former Ring of Honor wrestlers? As we reported earlier this week, there are reports that the WWE is still fleshing out Wyatt's storyline. However, that hasn't stopped fans from speculating that a group known as the Wyatt Six is coming. Now Dave Meltzer is reporting in this week's Observer that Dutch and Vincent's name have been bandied about for Wyatt's characters. As noted by What Culture, Dutch and Vincent along with Bateman and Vita Von Star previously comprised the Righteous and the Ring of Honor, both of them are free agents. Next up, the real reason why Billy Gunn wasn't on Raw. Fans are still lamenting over how D-Generation X's reunion during Raw's season premiere didn't have Billy Gunn present. In fact, we recently reported on how all the members of DX were upset that Billy couldn't make it. At the time, it was reported that AEW had approved Billy's appearance only to change things up. But now more details are emerging. As Dave Meltzer noted in The Observer, it was actually a long involved story that didn't involve any money exchanging hands, as WWE never offered money and Khan never asked, and basically came down to this. Khan agreed to let him do the show, but on the air they would have to mention he's from AEW, or that AEW allowed him to appear, or some wording. But there had to be one mention that in some form he works for AEW, just as WWE already did when they got Mickie James for the Royal Rumble this past year. WWE stalled on the yes or no, and then at the last minute would not agree to it. Does that sound petty to you? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Goldberg's WWE contract expiring. Goldberg's WWE contract is expiring soon, an interesting situation for fans who still can't get enough of the man who exploded on the wrestling scene during the Monday Night War. The Hall of Famer and multiple-time world champion appeared on the Roman Atwood podcast on YouTube discussing some interesting moments in his career. However, the most relevant comment was Bill's revelation that his WWE contract expires in 2 months. You may recall that he has said that he's fulfilled his obligations to wrestle, but that he knows the WWE could call upon him. Even at 55, and he's turning 56 in December, Bill is a megastar type that is still valuable in limited doses. Goldberg has shown he can still wrestle, something he demonstrated at last year's Crown Jewel No Holds Barred match against Bobby Lashley. Don't be surprised to see the WWE sign him just to keep him from working elsewhere, even if Goldberg never works a match again. Next up, NXT special coming in December to run against a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. There's interesting news concerning NXT as Fightful Select is reporting that members of the Black and Gold brand have been told that the 10th December will feature an NXT special. The report added that the show is rumoured to be associated with the WWE's recent trademark application for a TV program titled Deadline. Even more interesting is that the show is scheduled to air the same day as Ring of Honor's Final Battle pay-per-view. Fightful reports an announcement about the show should be made by Saturday. Next up, WWE revamping veteran superstars. Is the WWE changing up the characters of veteran wrestlers R-Truth and Shelton Benjamin? Truth and Benjamin recently formed a team, but a backstage exchange during an episode of Main Event featured Shelton Benjamin having a heart-to-heart with Truth about how he used to be the gold standard, and he's just Shelton now. Benjamin suggested he and Truth need to take what few years they have left on their career seriously, which has some fans thinking a change is coming. The changes continue in the WWE under Triple H as former wrestlers return and existing wrestlers get new direction. Whether or not this succeeds remains to be seen, but it's a hopeful sign that both Benjamin and Truth, two talented tumblers, may get one last chance at glory. While Triple H may want to steer the team in a new direction, what's a realistic goal for the talented team? They already have the titles locked down with the Usos holding both belts with no apparent end in sight to their reign. The WWE will have to create a new gold standard, no pun intended, for measuring superstars' success without championships. And finally, Paul Wight recovering from surgery. Last but not least, fans wondering why Paul Wight, aka former superstar The Big Show, hasn't made his long promised return to the ring, now may have an answer, as Jim Ross recently revealed the big man is recovering from hip surgery. Speaking on his Grillin' JR podcast, JR revealed, he's had surgery, hip surgery. I saw him just the other day at one of our shows. I think he was on a walker or a cane or something like that, but he's kinda beat up. He says he's coming back and he's gonna be in great shape and he's gonna have more matches. I hope that he's alright. I would love to see it. It would help AEW no doubt if he gets over, but he's gotta get healthy. This isn't the first time Wight has had hip surgery, but the world's biggest athlete seems committed to one last run in the ring. We're wishing Paul Wight a fast and full recovery and hope to see him in the ring very soon. But there you have it folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.